Can you okay, fine. According to the of the Rebbe, who learned the Hilchos Abchira every day, we have the honor today to have Rav Chosid, Rav Tomi Mashliach, Rebbe, Mechanech, Rav Mנחם מענדל, Mלול, will give us the insights of the learning of the building of the Beis Hamikdash. Rav Mlul, bevakasha.
Reb Shmuel, thank you for organizing this. The Rebbe's Takona. And just reading Rambam now while waiting, and we got a regards, got a glue from Rebbe. We see one of the halachos that we learn in today's Rambam is that Eime Vaflin Tinoikes Beis Hamikdash, which I think is very much appropriate of what we're talking about. That Agam, we're talking about the Beis Hamikdash, but Eime Vaflin Tinoikes, the Inyan from Limud HaTorah, that has the power at least to accomplish what the Beis Hamikdash could do, for sure more than that. We're learning today, Bez Hashem, of Beis Hamikdash HaShlishi, the Inyan from Bidei Odon, Bidei Shamayim. Try with a short amount of time as much as we can. So to keep it short, you hear me? You're able to hear me? Yeah? Say that.
Yeah, we hear you very well.
So to make it clear, there are three Batei Mikdash. Bayis Rishon, Bayis Sheni, Bayis Shlishi. When it comes to Bayis Rishon is explained, see in Sefer Melachim, and anything that's different from the Mishkan had nevuas. It was the nevuah of David HaMelech. Hakel b'chsav miyad Hashem olai hiskir. When it comes to Bayis Shlishi, obviously the basic inyan of the Beis Hamikdash, but it's nevuah in Yecheskel, famous nevuah in Yecheskel, which is not clear. The Rambam in Halacha Dalet, Halacha Aleph says mitzvah tefillah Hashem, also is bayis Hashem, mitzvah to make to do a house for the Eibishter. Then in Halacha Dalet it says binyan shebono shloime tvam mefurish b'malachim. Binyan of Shloime HaMelech is already explained in Malachim. V'chein binyan ha'osi libones av al pi shehu kosel Yecheskel eina mefurish u'mevuah. Same goes for the Beis Hamikdash HaShlishi that will eventually be built. Is also, although it's explained in Yecheskel, it is not mefurish u'mevuah. It is not explained. It is not clear. Now, the anshe Bayis Sheni. What about Bayis Sheni? Shebonu b'imei ezo bonu kebinyan shloimeh. When it comes to Bayis Sheni, the Bayis Sheni was built b'imei ezo. So what was it? Bonu kebinyan shloimeh ein dvarim hamufurashim b'Yecheskel. Binyan Sheni, Binyan Bayis, second Beis Hamikdash, had in it things of the first Beis Hamikdash, and also a few things hamufurashim b'Yecheskel, for example, the sides of the Mizbeach and other few things. So these are the three Batei Mikdash: Bayis Rishon, Bayis Sheni, Bayis Shlishi. Now, even though we're talking about three Batei Mikdash, but be'emes Bayis HaShlishi, that's shaloi be'erech. Not we're saying this is the first and this is the second, this is the third. Bayis HaShlishi is something else. Even if we speak Pashut, without learning Chassidus, there's a tshuva from the Rashba. It says that the guy asked him, Pshat in the Apostle that says in Chage Godli Abayis Achin min Horishin, that Ho'achin, the second Bayis, will be Godel, will be bigger min Horishin. The Gemara learns it about Hordus, in other words, the second Beis Hamikdash will be bigger than the first. Achin says in the Apostle Achin, the last one. Back of the Shaila, how do you believe there will be another Beis Hamikdash? The Apostle calls it Achin, as I state in Nevim. So the Rashba explains to him that when we say Achin is relative to the Rishon, which means it's not be'etzem Achin. Achin, that's yachas to the Rishon, which means compared to the first, it's last. But it doesn't mean it's last. And he brings a few dogmas, but Beis Hamikdash HaShlishi is a ganzen, it's something shaloi be'erech. There's also mefurish in Zoya that, but the mile of, what is the mile of Bayis Shlishi? So Bavus Zoya, it's brought in a lot of places that Mikdash Hashem ken yadech, be'etzem when Yidden would come from, if there would be no Aveiro in the Midbar, so then they would come to Eretz Yisrael, they would right away have the Beis Hamikdash Ma'aseh Yedei HaKadosh Baruch Hu. And once it would be Ma'aseh Yedei HaKadosh Baruch Hu, it would last forever. However, since Lo Yizachu and Chotu B'Mitzvah, so therefore it had to be Ma'aseh Yedei Adam, had to be built by people. And once it was built by people, they knew that it's not going to be miskayim. This is why even when David HaMelech, by David HaMelech, it says, Im Hashem le'ivnei bayis, shovam l'baynav bayis. That's the pshat. That if the Eibshter doesn't build it, it's not going to last. It's not going to be lo'elam vayis. Same thing by Ezra. People built it. Since people built it, it has no kiyum. However, Zimno, the Ossi says the Zayim, when Shiach will come, then it's going to be Bnei Yerushalayim Hashem. The Eibshter will build himself, he and nobody else. And this is the Beis Hamikdash that's not going to have any kiyum. That's not, that's going to be La'elam Vod. One more thing before we're going to the inyan that we need to talk about is that this inyan that we're discussing about the mile of Bayis HaShlishi, which is above Bayis Rishon and Bayis Shlishi, is something that even B'Shas Ma'aseh they knew. Which means that even in Bayis Sheni, they knew that eventually the Beis Hamikdash will be destroyed. Where do we know this? The Gemara in Nazir, it's actually a Mishnah. Mishnah says in Nazir Daf Lamed Beis that Nochem Amodi made a mistake. What mistake did he make? That whenever Nazirim came in Hagoyla, Nazirim came from Hagoyla, from out of Eretz Yisrael, they come to the Beis Hamikdash. They want to bring the Karbonis of Nazirus. And to their surprise, they see Umotsu Beis Hamikdash Choriv. They see the Beis Hamikdash is completely destroyed. So Nochem Amodi tells them, if you would know Ilu Hoyisem Yoitim, he's trying to be matir, to find a Pesach for them. If you would know that Beis Hamikdash Choriv, would you ever take upon yourself Nazirus? He said, for sure not. V'hitiru Nochem Amodi. Nochem Amodi was able to be matir, to remove the Nazirus. However, when the Chachamim, when it came to the Chachamim didn't agree. But what's interesting here, that when the Gemara says, Omar Rav Yosef says, Rav Yosef says, if I would be there, I would say to those Nazirim, not like the Chachamim. I would tell them that you knew doch that the Beis Hamikdash is eventually going to be destroyed. It's doch a nevuah. It says doch in the pasuk, Heichal Hashem, Heichal Hashem, Heichal Hashem. So being that it said 3 times the word Heichal, there will be 3 Batei Mikdash. So being that it will be 3 Batei Mikdash, you knew that the Bayis Sheni, which is the one they were up to, would eventually be destroyed. If that's the case, it's not something new, which is called Peischim B'Noilot. It's not new information that came after the Nazir. It's something that you had the Chatchila while you took the Neder, and therefore there's different Pirushim there. But what's according to Tais is the Pshat. You should stay away from the Nazirus. So we see from here that even in Bayis Sheni, people knew, or people were meant to know, that this Bayis is not here La'olam Vod. Ain't in the Bayis Shlishi, which is Ma'aseh Yedei HaKadosh Baruch Hu. So this is La'ad La'el Le'elamim. This is a Pashtan Zin. Obviously, we could go much. Now, we're talking about being in Bayis Shlishi. So there is a simple question that comes up. We've mentioned before that Bayis HaShlishi is meant to be K'mosh Mefurish B'Yecheskel. This is what Bayis HaShlishi, the Rambam said clearly, that Binyan Ha'osli Bonis, even though Shukosov B'Yecheskel, it's written in the Nevuah of Yecheskel, nevertheless it's not clear. However, whenever the Rambam discusses Hilchas Beis HaBchira, we see that he doesn't bring anything from Yecheskel. He brings L'chule, Seches Midas, Seches Tamid, the way things were in the Beis Hamikdash Hasheni. So why is the Rambam mighty the halachas how things were be made by Hasheni if Be'etzim can't say it's the wrong Beis Hamikdash Chas v'Shalom. Maybe the Rambam should be mighty only the basic, the Inyani that will be the same thing. However, the Inyani that will for sure be changed in the Nevuah of Yecheskel, whatever the Pirush is, or even if we don't have a Pirush, but it's not clear. So therefore, why is it that the Rambam is Ma'ir in Hilchas Beis HaBchira and says exactly the way things were be made by Hasheni? Be'etzim, we could take this question a step further. We could ask the question also for Maseches Midas, Maseches Tamid. Who is Maseches Tamid? who's more in Yuma that says the man tana Tomid, whenever there's a Stam Mishnah in Tomid, Reb Shimon Isha Mitzvah. There's another Gemara that says man tana Midas, who is Stam Mishnah in Midas, Abelazar ben Yaakov. So these were Tanoim that were Bizman Abayis. However, it says in a few places that Bepashtis, the Mishnah was written after Churban Abayis. After Churban Bayis Sheni, this is when the Mishnah was written. So different rayas that point from different proofs. Some say that number one, we see machlokes in different things. So it would still be Bizman Abayis. No, let's go to Beis Hamikdash and see. We can see for ourselves. Why do we have to be choylek on whatever happened to Beis Hamikdash? Another is shochachti mahoisam mishameshes. I forgot what it was, which means it seems that it's over. So, af Maseches Midas, which is a Maseches that discusses by Sheni, you can ask the same identical question. What's the point of writing the Mishnah? Is this is not. This is good for Bay Sheni. Aber Bay Shlich wird sein in ganzen andere Beis Hamikdash, and there be something else. So the shaila is why Maseches Midas? Why Maseches Tomid? Another, let's say, a proof to this is that Rambam brings in Pirush HaMishnah is that we don't find Masechtes on Yonim Yeduim and Hugim B'Yisrael. Things that everybody knows is we don't find in Masechtes for the simple halachas that everybody knows, which is an answer to many questions. The way things were Bizman Abayis, there's no Masechtes. However, only afterwards, Yuma is also. These are things that were written afterwards, and the shaila is for us. Why is it that we need this mission? Why do we need this Masechta L'chura if the midas are not the midas? There's many shinuyim with the nevuah of Yecheskel. To be able to have a certain understanding. So L'chura, let's go back to Bayis Shlishi. Bayis Shlishi, which is what we're discussing tonight. We have, you could say, 2 days. 2 days, how will the Beis HaMikdash be built? One is called Bidei Adam, Bidei Moshiach. One is called Bidei Shemayim. So it starts already from the Midrashim. Midrashim is Midrashim from Beide Seiten, from both sides. Psiktil Moshel, it says that the apostle that says in Yirmiyah, Ein neiter oid aholi, no one will raise my tent. So the Medrash says, Atake, no one from you will raise my tent. However, HaKadosh Baruch Hu beina eisei. Yeah, we know this about Mikdash Hashem Ken Yadecho that Rashi brings, that the Eibishter himself will build the Beis HaMikdash. And there is also other Midrashim, and the same thing in Gemara also we find, about to see soon. For example, the Medrash says that there's a pasuk in Yecheskel that it says V'hali sicha miyakas itzofin, and that's a pasuk about the Melech HaMashiach. Melech HaMashiach, which is Nosun B'tzofin, because the Yidden are in Golus, and most of the Yidden went to Golus B'tzofin. Whenever Yovai the Yivne has Beis HaMikdash, the Melech HaMashiach will come and build the Beis HaMikdash. It's exactly the way the Rambam passed it, right? Melech HaMashiach will come and will build the Beis HaMikdash. So, Midrashim, there is Bidei Adam and Bidei Shemayim. We have, there's a lot of questions, whichever way we learn it. Another, we look also in Rishonim, there's also, it's called B'derech Rashi and Tosfos and the Rambam. But there's many other Rishonim to both sides, to both camps. Rashi and Sukkah explains Mehane HaMikdash. What's Mehane HaMikdash? Over there we're talking about the Takon of Rabbi Yochanan ben Zakkai, that Rabbi Yochanan ben Zakkai was metakin that Yom Hanif Kuli Osu, that the entire day of when we bring the Oimeh should be also the entire day of the 16th of Nisan. Why? Because Beis HaMikdash will be built. That could happen in a split second, and people will make a mistake based on the past. Yeah, Salang gets a lot of poetim over there in the Gemara, but the way Rashi explains it is l'chura, if it's something that can happen by night based on what the Gemara says over there. So l'chura, how could that be? Ein Beis HaMikdash b'layla. So Rashi answers that it's b'chlal not a question. because Hani Mili, when does that apply? This is Binya Banu B'Yodim. But if it's Mikdash Ha'osid, She'onu Mitzapi, Banu Yimeshuchlo, Hu Yegale V'Yov Mishamayim. Rashi brings it Tanchumo that the Beis HaMikdash will come in Hashamayim. So all these halachas, the Ein Binyan Beis HaMikdash Deichi Yom Tev, Ein Binyan Beis HaMikdash Da Balaylo. This is a handmade Beis HaMikdash. We're talking Beis HaMikdash HaShlishi here. Because it's Beis HaMikdash HaShlishi, so therefore, Rashi says, what the Pashto says the same in many places. While we're talking about the Sinian fathers, the Chidah, there's an interesting Chidah that brings from Psakadman on the Lashon that we have, Yerotzim Ufanecho Hashem Elokeinu V'Elokeinu Aviseinu Sheibone Beis HaMikdash. Sheibone Beis HaMikdash, it's a little bit neutral, if you could say. Sheibone Beis HaMikdash, the Beis HaMikdash should be built. Who? What? So even though the Ramah writes that Take, that's the Nusach that we're saying. Nevertheless, there are some that say that the Nusach should be Yerotzim Shetivne Beis HaMikdash. Shetivne, that the Eibishter should build. It's not some Sheibon. Shetivne. It's supposed to be B'dei Shamayim. It's up to the Eibishter. Therefore, that's the Yerotzim. Even though there are many kshoim, many difficulties, for example, the mitzvah, there's a mitzvah to make it to have a Beis HaMikdash. So should we say that according to Rambam, Nishtaza mitzvah? So there is a lot to discuss about this. Let's try to keep it short to the point, especially with the time that we have. The Rashi and Tosfos in many places are saying this Inyan Taka, that Beis HaShlishi is Bidei Shamayim. Now, on the other side, we have the Shitas Rambam. Rambam says clearly that Melech HaMoshiach, Osid Lamed Olahachzir, Malchus David Lo Yoshno, Lememshola Horishono, right? He writes this in Ubeidash Mekabit Nitri Yisrael. So this is part of what the Melech HaMoshiach should be doing. Rambam says it's also in Pirush HaMishnayis that the reason why Midas, that after Tamid comes Midas, it's because whenever it will be built, we have to keep and doing it according to that. We have to be careful to do it according to that size. So for states that we're talking about people building. Yeah, there's in today's Rambam, we're talking about today's Rambam that we can be mevatl tinoikis to build a Beis HaMikdash. So this is a physical Beis HaMikdash that's being built. It's not a Beis HaMikdash built by Melech HaMoshiach. I forgot to mention that even though we're mentioning Melech HaMoshiach who built Fashteitzach, that he won't build it himself. He will obviously be the head, but everyone will take part of it, will be mishtatif in it. So we have two shittas, l'chura. Seems to be very, and the Rebbe is metavich, and with that we will conclude. The seats schön spät. We'll finish. The Rebbe said that be'emes those two inyanim that we have, those two shittas that exist, the shitta of Beis HaMikdash b'dei Shamayim and b'dei Adam. There is a way to be metavich them, even according to the Rambam. One of the ways, there's many ways, we could say that there is whatever will be built in Maseches Midas, in Bayis Sheni, this is the part that has to be built by people. Whatever is not clear in, or another way, and with that we will conclude that the Binyan Abayis Lamato will be in this Mikdash Shalomata that people will build will be mislabish the Mikdash Shalomayla, the Mikdash. We could answer much more to it, but just to keep it short, that be'etzem, the Rambam is a Sefer Halochos. Now, Pi Halocha, the way when things will happen in Hashemayim is not exactly our business. I mean, it is our business, but it's a Sefer Halocha, which means when should person be doing. It's not an idea what will happen in Hashemayim. So therefore, the mitzvah's binyan abayis has to remain the way it is. The person has to build the Beis HaMikdash. Now, the binyan of Yecheskel, that's something that will come afterwards. That's why the Ram doesn't mention it. and therefore we could be metavech both inyanim, that there's lav dafke stira, and the Rambam speaks only about this inyan that that whatever is shaykh to the maisa, whatever the person has to do. So we could see from here, a couple from this, a couple from the Lul. There's more to it, and the Rebbe's abchira is not something to learn how the Eibush to build the Beis Hamikdash Shlishi. It's something also we have to build the Beis Hamikdash Dolim Mato. Have to the Yerotzen by doing Malkeinu Berishenu. Yes, okay.
Shkoyach Rav Mendel, Mנחem Mlul, for the inspiring words. We should know how to get ready for Beis Hamikdash Shlishi. The Rosh will help them. Zayin take it from Yad Mamash. Tomorrow, the Shia will be giving at the same time about 20 to 9 by Rav Chaim Brand. And also tomorrow there will be a Siyum Meseches after Ma'ariv. I will post what time it's going to be. I'm not exactly sure how we're going to do it. We're going to do it on the Zoom before Ma'ariv, after Ma'ariv. I will let know by tomorrow. Kol Tuv, Tzloch Rabbe, Mashiach now.